first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. I wanted to pull that up. That is a live shot there of the Columbia River from our Maryhill camera in Vancouver, Washington. And I am showing you that because somewhere downstream on that river is our guest who's going to be joining us here in just a second. Again, this is Fox 12 Now. We are live here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom as we are every weekday, and we appreciate you joining us. And of course, you can download the Fox 12 Oregon app, watch us live, and then watch everything else that we do afterward as well. So feel free to share that. But the Rose Festival fully underway, and Fleet Week has begun. And we are joined right now by our own Ezra Kaplan, live on the Columbia River on a ship. Ezra, how's it going?
You know, it's going pretty great. I'm not going to lie. This has been a pretty great day. We had an early start. We got a ride all the way out to Astoria, got on board this ship. This is the USS Mustin. This is a 500-foot long guided missile destroyer. So normally a ship like this is going to be out in the Pacific, somewhere else in the world, supporting an aircraft carrier on all kinds of missions. But for right now, it's heading up the Columbia towards Portland, not for anything nefarious, but as you said, it's for Fleet Week. This is going to be docked on the waterfront from later today until Sunday, and it's going to be open to the public. They're going to have tours. It's a really cool thing. Right now, like I said, we're going up the Columbia. We're heading to the Willamette. We're going to take a right on the Willamette, and then, like I said, get up to the waterfront. It's a pretty cool ship, Greg, and this has been a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I got
top questions because we've got so much to talk about here.
So many questions to ask you. I mean, I got to say, that does not look like too bad of a gig that you have right there. But you started off early this morning, so making your way up there in a 500-foot ship. I mean, that's something that very few people, if you're not in the military, get to actually experience riding on. So what's it been like being on there?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, just moving around in the ship, if anybody's ever been on a naval vessel, it's crazy because as soon as you go underneath, you lose all sense of where you are, and there's doors and hatches everywhere. It's, you know, underneath my feet, there's a mini city going on. There's everything from a chow hall where they're feeding people, there's bedrooms, there's a store, there's a library. It's a literal floating city. And so being able to kind of explore a little bit, get a tour around the ship, it's been really eye-opening. You know, in addition to the fact that it's a mini city, this is also a pretty lethal weapon here. They've got a lot of stuff. As I said, you know, this is a guided missile destroyer. So I'm going to have Frank here zoom in a little bit. These hatches behind me, there's a bunch of them up here on the stern of the ship. Further back, there's a bunch more. Each one of these is a hatch where a missile can shoot right up and go do whatever it's assigned to do, whatever type of missile it is. And so that's kind of the main point of this ship, is to provide missile support. In addition to those missiles, it's got some serious guns. You know, there's a 50 caliber machine gun on the side over there, but then you come over here, this is a 5-inch gun. This thing fires rounds that are 5 inches wide. And let me tell you, they will do some damage. You can look it up on the internet. There's great videos of what they can do. You know, it's been really interesting just to learn how many different roles there are on the ship. There's so many people doing so many different jobs. One of the interesting things that we've found out is that as they're coming into Fleet Week, they actually have a group of Marines who have joined them, who are coming to do some education. They're showing some of the integration that they have with the Navy. Interestingly, we talked to a meteorologist, right? Meteorology is a really important thing, whether you're on a ship or planning for battle. You know, so everything from cooks to meteorologists to people who paint the boat. I mean, it's just wild how many people it takes to keep a ship like this going.
I mean, you mentioned an entire city essentially underneath your feet right there with all of those people on the ship, and extra Marines now joining in as well. I mean, and one of the things too for Fleet Week, you know, as much as we get to see the ships and get to see, you know, you on there, and people can go onto, I believe, I'm not sure if it's this ship, we'll get to that here in just a second, but I wanted to ask just for the people on there, you know, they're all going to get to come in here and experience Portland as well. So have you had a chance to talk to them about what they're expecting, what they plan on doing while they're here?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, there's a whole variety of folks. We've talked to a good number of them. We talked to one woman who is actually from Portland, and she's based in San Diego, you know, with her battalion there. but she's getting to actually visit home as part of Fleet Week. She's really excited. So there's a couple folks who are from Portland. This is a bit of a homecoming. Other folks who we talked to actually went to college. One guy I spoke to went to Lewis and Clark, so he's excited to get back, hit up some of his old buddies, play in his old stomping grounds. For a couple of them I've spoken to, this is their first time in Portland. I've heard everything from being excited to go and check out the bar scene, to seeing Mike Bennett's work, to just the fact that there's so many trees. You know, for some of the folks who aren't from the Pacific Northwest, we're going right up the Columbia River, and on both sides, both in Washington and Oregon, you know, just the number of trees for anybody who's spent any time up here. You know, we might take it for granted, but for them, it's really a pretty cool and special thing. And also, one note is that this destroyer is generally not so close to shore. This thing's meant to operate out in the ocean. It's got a pretty deep draft, and so it's kind of weird for them and for me as well, being so close to the shore. You can really see the cars right up on the shore. So yeah, you're getting a real good taste of the Pacific Northwest before they even dock.
Right, yeah, so yeah, right there next to shore. I mean, and that is one of the things too with that channel there in the Columbia. I mean, they keep that deep enough for something like this, but I'm sure the navigation is just insane as well, as far as going down this thing with a ship of that size.
Yeah, and so the navigation, so I'll actually show you, the navigation is all being done all the way right up there at the bridge. So we're on the bow of the ship, so you can see the bridge up there. That's where the captain and the local pilot are navigating this huge ship down the river. So it's something that's interesting that not everybody realizes, is that when a ship like this comes into a pretty tricky to navigate area like the Columbia River, they actually rely on local pilots, local captains, folks who know these waters like the back of their hands, who come on board, work with the captain here on this ship, and help them navigate what can be some pretty tricky waterways to get them safely to the waterfront in Portland. And so we've got a local pilot on board now. They're working together up there. They're very busy. This is a very challenging navigation that they're doing. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting.
That's fascinating too. And those local pilots, I do happen to know one of those Columbia River pilots, and just fun fact about them, they can draw that entire length of the Columbia River by memory on a piece of paper with every single obstacle that you would ever encounter on there. I mean, just insane. So, well, either way, this is just awesome that you're out there. So you don't probably know what time you're going to be getting into town, but it's several hours on a ship. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we should be getting in sometime after 4 for sure, maybe between 4 and 5. We'll be getting in. Now, just so everybody is aware, the tours actually start on Thursday. And if you want, we can get into that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So for people who do want to go on there, and I don't know what they're going to get to experience, but they can actually go on this particular ship. Is that true?
Yeah. So this ship, as well as a couple other ships, here, I can actually give you a list. There's quite a few ships that are going to be at the waterfront for Fleet Week. So we've got this ship, and as well as another destroyer that are on their way there. Those are both from the Navy. There's going to be 4 ships from the Coast Guard, 1 ship from the Canadian Navy, and 1 from the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers. And people can come and get a tour of this ship, of I think all of those ships. And it's a first come, first serve situation, so you do need to show up. You probably will have to wait in line. It's going to be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. Now, something important to know is this is a naval ship, and so there are some security requirements. Specifically, you will need a real ID in order to get onto the ship. If you don't have a real ID, a passport will also suffice, but if you don't have either of those, you might need to figure out a different year to come and visit the ship. So you will need a real ID, first come, first serve. In the past, the line has gotten a little bit long, and they do end things at 4. So you might want to get there early. They sometimes will kind of cut the line off as early as 2 p.m. I think it's super worth it. If you can't get here and get the time to do the tour, just seeing these things parked on the waterfront, just coming down and going for a walk, I got to tell you, I mean, they're huge, and you kind of have to see it for yourself to really understand just how big they are.
Right, that massive scale. I mean, and if that's just one of them, combined with all of the other ones down there at the waterfront, if somebody's watching and you've never experienced that or seen that, like Ezra said, I highly recommend taking a walk across one of the bridges, just look at that, right in the city, right there. Well, Ezra, thank you, for having time to talk to us here on this, enjoying your trip. The weather could not have cooperated better for you. On top of that,
Yeah.
and just awesome to get this close look. Seriously, thank you, you and Frank. Really appreciate you guys. I'll let you get back to it.
Thanks so much, Greg. Good to talk.
All right, for everybody watching, again, this is Fox 12 Now. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, which is what we do every weekday. And we get to have a little bit of longer form segments, so that's why we get to have Ezra on there and, just talk a little bit more about some of the stuff that he's seeing. And we've got plenty more coming up throughout the afternoon. It is always a wide variety on this show, and at 1:30 p.m. we are going to be talking to the Yin Yang twins, so that is going to be changing up a little bit. We're also going to be talking about, later on today, a study from PSU about forest recovery from the 2020 wildfires. So that's kind of what I'm talking about as far as a wide range, and there's more as well, and if there's breaking news, we'll have that for you also right here. We'll take a break for now. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.